ॐ सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः. We are reading from the book Meditation and Spiritual Life by Swami Yatiswarananda. We are on chapter 17 titled Self-Surrender. In the last session, we started on the section Some Practical Suggestions. We were midway through. It's an important section. We shall resume from the beginning again. Some practical suggestions. Do not make a blueprint of your life. That does not mean you should not prepare a general plan. Plan your future course in a general way, but then leave everything to the Lord. Let Him make you do what He likes. Let us wish strongly for spiritual progress and spiritual experience, but let us leave the details to the divine, as we do not always see things clearly. We cannot but think about our future and make plans. But all these are to be ultimately left to the divine. We should gradually learn to be in tune with the divine and follow the divine will. If we sincerely persist in this, we will come to a stage when our whole being will be in tune with the divine. Remember this: if one practices self-surrender, one cannot take any wrong step. People often glibly say, "I have left everything to God," and then they go and do as they please. A man who is attached to the objects of the world or to his own desires and prejudices cannot think of self-surrender. We should always note that without a certain minimum of detachment, vairagya, self-surrender is impossible. For complete self-surrender, complete detachment is necessary. One who is poor should not wish for more than is necessary. One who is rich should replace the sense of possession with that of trusteeship, and then make the best use of what the divine gives to one. This is true not only of material possessions, but also of intellectual resources and even spiritual blessings. Whatever you have, musical talent, efficiency in work, intellectual ideas, love, everything must be considered as a gift from God to be passed on to others. You know the story of Job in the Old Testament. He lost everything he had, but only said, "The Lord gave, and the Lord hath taken away. Blessed be the name of the Lord." This is quoted from the Bible, Job 1:21. We should give to deserving people whatever we can, but we should exercise great care even in making gifts, whatever they may be. Do not give things away indiscriminately in the name of self-surrender. The true devotee gets the right direction at the right time about how, when, and to whom gifts are to be given. So there is a well-known verse in the Gita, chapter 17, verse 20, which is talking about dhanam, which is gifts. And they talk about the three different types of dhanam: the sattvika dhanam, the rajasic dhanam, and the tamasic dhanam. So this is sattvika dhanam, which is the highest dhanam. Datavyamiti yad dhanan diyate nupakarine deshe kale cha patre cha tad dhanam satvikam smritam. And if you notice, deshe kale cha patre cha. Deshe, place; kale, time; patre, the right person. So talking about the right place, the right time, and the right person for giving. You do not worry so much about attaining calmness just now. There are two types of calmness: egocentric and cosmocentric. Some people appear to be calm because of their lack of love or sympathy for others. They are not bothered about other people's sufferings and appear to be balanced and strong. but they collapse when something happens to themselves. It is better not to have this type of calmness. The cosmocentric calmness comes as a result of self-surrender to the divine by coming in touch with him. Only when we are established in the universal consciousness can we attain real calmness and balance under all circumstances. Do not weaken yourself by being too self-critical. People go on complaining about their life because they allow the causes of their complaints to continue. Unless we make an inner change, unless we overhaul our mind, it will go on giving troubles to us. Do you know Sri Ramakrishna's parable of the pet dog? A dog had been so much fondled in the beginning that it had made a habit of jumping onto its master's body. Later on, the master wanted to control this, but the dog would not obey. Even when it was beaten, it tried to jump onto the master's body. So this is from the Tales and Parables of Sri Ramakrishna, published in 1974, page 237. Our mind is like that dog. It has been pampered so long that it is difficult to control it and surrender it at the feet of the Lord. But through repeated practice, we have got to make the mind surrender itself to God. First of all, bring about a transformation in your own life, at least to some extent, through regular sadhana, and then take up the ideal of, quote, work and worship, unquote. Only you should see that you do not take up more work than you can joyfully do. In the beginning, it is not possible to maintain constant remembrance of the Lord. So, offer all that you do to Him at the beginning and at the end of the work, and if possible, while you are engaged in work. Work becomes mechanical only when you forget the goal of your life, when you forget that whatever you do is a means to realizing God. It is no use working like a machine. The trouble with our work is not so much with the quantity of work as with its quality, that is, the way we do it. It is our inability to do our work in a spirit of dedication to God that is the main obstacle to doing work as a spiritual discipline. And there can never be any dedication unless the goal of God realization is constantly kept in view. Obedience to superiors is a test of our surrender to God. But the person who says that in obeying his superiors, he has to sacrifice everything, including his spiritual aspiration and practice, has not understood the spirit of surrender. As we practice self-surrender to God, our ego is not so much destroyed as transmuted. The individual consciousness expands and finds a place for everybody within it, superiors, juniors, and equals. True self-surrender endows a person with a higher wisdom and dignity that prevents other people from taking advantage of him. Self-surrender does not mean you have to behave like fools. Once upon a time, there was a great scholar. His wife one day had to go somewhere and she asked him to boil lentils on the stove before she returned. Now, as the cooking proceeded, the lentils started frothing up and the soup started spilling out of the vessel. The scholar immediately began to pray to God. His wife later on came, saw the mess the man had created, and asked him what he had done. She then scolded him, "You fool, could you not pour a little oil on the lentils?" When we pray to God, we should pray for the wisdom to distinguish truth from falsehood, the good from the bad, the right from the wrong. Let us work as best as we can with the understanding which He has already given us, and as we proceed, He will fill us more and more. It is a great bondage to depend too much on outside help and seek advice from others too often. The more you turn to the inner guide, the more free you become. Have infinite trust in the divine and go on with the duties of your life heroically. Let the hands be busy with work and the mind occupied with thoughts of the divine. If you have to do intellectual work and keep your mind engaged in worldly thoughts, then fix your heart, the will, on the Lord firmly. Surrender your ego to the divine. Work and worship must go hand in hand. Our ideal is to transmute work also into worship, but it can be realized only through constant practice in the course of time. In order to succeed in this, you have to maintain something of the prayerful and meditative mood while doing your work. It does not matter if you do not succeed always. Let those failures be stepping stones to success. With a part of the mind, we have to think of the Lord, while with the other part, we have to attend to the duties of life, noticing, of course, what we are doing and offering the fruits of the work to the divine. All this is no doubt difficult, but let us try again and again. Don't you know Sri Ramakrishna's parable of the woman who prepares flattened rice? With one hand, she has to turn the grain in the machine. With the other, she has to nurse her baby, all the while talking to others, to friends, and bargaining with customers. This is from the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, pages 314 to 315, also again 380 to 381. Something of that dexterity must be brought into our spiritual striving. You know the well-known song of Shankara, wherein he says, "Whatever I do, O Lord, is thy worship." This is from the Shiva Manasa Puja, which is verse number 4. Yadyat karma karomi yat tattadakhilam shambho tavaradhanam. Yadyat karma karomi tattadakhilam shambho tavaradhanam. This attitude is easy when you love work. If you really dislike the work, you've got to do it because of some intrinsic defect in it, then please tell the Lord about your difficulties and about the fact that you're doing it only because of the pressure of circumstances. If you so wish, you may request Him to take it away from you and give something better. He will surely fulfill your wish if it is for your own good. Otherwise, you should know that it is good for you to continue with the old work, in which case you may find unexpected benefits from the very work which you dislike. This reminds us of a well-known verse from the Gita, chapter 3, verse number 35. Shreyan swadharmo vigunaf paradharmat swanushthitat swadharme nidhanam shreyash paradharmo bhayavaha. I'm not quite sure if Sri Ramakrishna gives us blows. Our troubles and tribulations are the results of the working out of our karma. So instead of blaming the Lord, let us profit by our experiences, however bitter they are. Get dispassion more and more and hold on to the Lord always. He is not only witnessing our trials, but also is ready to help us out of them. The Lord has brought you into close contact with His spiritual current. Follow that current and maintain the contact. In due course, you will feel the divine presence always within you, whether you sit quiet or work hard. Work and worship must go in hand, and work done in the right spirit is acceptable to the divine as much as devoted worship consisting of prayer, meditation, etc. My teacher, Swami Brahmananda, gave me this instruction. Before you begin to work, remember the Lord and offer salutation to Him. Do the same at intervals in the course of the work and also after you finish it. Divine grace may not necessarily remove all our physical miseries and sorrows, but if you have the grace, we will be able to pass through the fiery ordeal of life successfully, burning the dross in us and attaining inner purity, and also bring greater revelation to the divine world. Blessed are our sufferings, then, if they bring us clearer knowledge and steadier devotion. Take the divine name, think of the indwelling spirit, feel the holy presence, surrendering your will to Him, and be at peace. Pray to the Lord for bringing new light and strength to your mind and heart. What else can you do but take things as they are and try to do your best? Whether you know it or not, your past, present, and future rest with the Lord. The best course for us is to play our part as well as we can and surrender ourselves to Him as much as possible. Everyone has to pass through periods of great uncertainty. Whenever you feel anxious for some reason or other, repeat the name of the Lord, think of Him, and practice self-surrender. I'm sure this method will bring you great strength and peace in due course. It is only a joy to serve the Lord's cause. I'm not worried about the future, since I know that the past, the present, and the future rest in Him. The best thing we can do is to remember Him and surrender ourselves to Him and be absorbed in His infinite presence, love, and bliss. Offer all the fruits of your labor to Him who dwells in your heart and guides your destiny, and be at peace. Even if you think that the whole world has forsaken you, know it for certain that the Lord is there with you and within you. So pray to the Divine Lord to come to your aid and enlighten your path. In the midst of the loneliness of your life, go on praying to Him for light and guidance, and try to feel His divine presence even in the midst of trials and difficulties. The Lord will grant you all the strength and courage you need. If you wish to have peace of mind, do not expect anything from anyone. If you get something, be thankful. If not, thank God. And know in your heart of hearts that the Lord alone is your own, as the soul of your soul. He cannot leave you, nor you Him. Success in an undertaking does not depend on our endeavor alone. There are also other factors which combine to make success possible. However, even when our efforts end in an objective failure, there will be a subjective success if we have worked hard in the proper spirit. Having his eye on this inner success, Bhagavan Sri Krishna has said, "To work alone you have the right, but not the fruits thereof." This is from the Bhagavad Gita, a most famous verse number 47 in chapter 2. Karmanyevadhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana ma karma phalaheturbhur ma te sangostva karmani. The great task in spiritual life, as in all other walks of life, is to know where we stand in relation to the reality and face the problems boldly. Along with that, we must try to improve ourselves. If we can bring about a change for the better in the environment, well and good. Otherwise, we have to play our parts as best as we can in the restricted situation in which we are placed. It is sheer cowardice to try to run away from life and think of taking shelter in death. It is like falling from the frying pan into the fire, and no sane person should think of it. The great disciples of Sri Ramakrishna have taught us that the spiritual seeker should not be just an automaton, always eager to be guided by someone else. We should learn to acquire conscious control over our personality, and through service, prayer, and self-surrender, try to be in tune with the divine will and follow its biddings with devotion and steadfastness. I have known there is such a thing as the divine will, which works through the human will for one's own good and that of others. Through prayer, japa, meditation, and puja, we have to contact that. Strive to your utmost by following your higher moral sense, by fulfilling your duties in a spirit of detachment and worship, and by doing your spiritual practice with regularity and devotion. All those who have come under the influence of the divine power manifest in this age in Sri Ramakrishna and the Holy Mother are fortunate. As you unfurl your sail, you will catch more and more of the breeze of the divine grace that is constantly blowing. You know the analogy of the salt doll which wanted to fathom the depth of the ocean and get dissolved. It happens only in the case of the doll of pure salt, but not of the doll of sand or the doll made of plenty of salt and sand. In all of us, both salt and sand are there. In order to practice complete, absolute self-surrender, the sand is to be eliminated or transformed into salt. Our ego, with its pride and innumerable desires, cannot be transmuted easily, but attempts are to be made, little by little, so that eventually the sand is removed. Only then we have to be like the baby monkey, clinging to its mother and follow the instructions of Bhagwan Sri Ramakrishna, of Bhagwan Sri Krishna, Mamanasmara Yudhyacha. So this is from a well-known verse again from chapter 8, which is in the chapter 8, verse number 8. Abhyasa yoga yuktena chetasa nanyagamina paramam purusham divyai yati parthanuchintayan. And this is talking about abhyasa, but in the previous verse, Sri Krishna, which is chapter 8, verse number 7, Sri Krishna says, Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu mamanusmara yudhyacha mayyarpita mano buddhir mame vaishyasya samshayam. Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu, at all times, mamanusmara yudhyacha, keeping me in mind, do your duty. Mayyarpita mano buddhir, giving up to me all your mind, your intellect. Mame vaishyasya asamshayam, you will no doubt come to me. So Sri Krishna gives this instruction throughout the Gita. When the salt nature asserts itself, a great surge of love overpowers us and self-surrender becomes easy for the time being. But then, maybe immediately afterwards, the sand nature, which is predominant, becomes strong and complete self-surrender becomes an impossibility. At that time, we should not worry, but should try to remain calm. Along with our egocentric activity, we should try to surrender as much as we can to the divine will. In each one of us, double, sometimes triple personalities exist, and these create no end of conflicts. One nature wages war against another and makes the confusion worse confounded. Instead of allowing ourselves to be completely upset, we have to practice japa, dhyana, remembering the Lord even when we are actively engaged in our duties, and offering the fruits of all our labors to Him. The practice of self-surrender passes through 3 stages. 1. Whether it is spiritual practice or performance of duties, at first do them in an egocentric way. 2. Next, we learn to offer the fruits of our work to the Divine Spirit. 3. In the last stage, we perform everything for pleasing the Lord. As our mind becomes purer, we feel the Divine Presence, and it is only then that we feel the Lord is like the operator and we are like machines. A very famous analogy which Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa speaks of throughout in the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.